I start today's video with some heaviness. Just the other day here in Toronto, a drunk driver struck and killed a car, killing all children on board ages 6, 13, and 15. And of course, this news just really struck a nerve with so many reading it, because to me, it's very preventable. But how do we prevent it? And do we do so with more regulation? Now, before I get to the dreaded R word, which is regulation, I thought to myself about the technology and the advances in technology that we've made just over the past 5 to 10 years. I mean, our phones are unlocked with our faces, facial recognition, Touch ID, Face ID. This is just how we go about unlocking our phones today. And that's just a commercial phone. We're using AI and drones. The United States is on its southern border for illegal border crossings. Canada is deploying all types of security measures using AI technology, etc. And I just thought to myself, isn't there technology inside cars that would be baked in to know if a driver is like swerving in and out of a lane, going excessive speed limits, running through red lights? We do have so much tech in current vehicles today about detecting, stop signs and pedestrians and traffic lights. Would it not be able to detect a driver's pattern and then be able to stop a vehicle, disengage it, call 911, call an Uber even? You have your phone linked to your car. It just calls an Uber for you and it just parks it and says a message on it to say, hey, the driver will be back for this vehicle, do not tow, or something like that. I don't know, but why can't there be technology deployed in vehicles for that? And I know why perhaps, and that would be that government would have to regulate, there's that word again, some type of technology in all vehicles entering Canada to have this type of technology as standard as part of their vehicles. And I imagine that the cost involved may be high, and this may warrant some vehicles manufacturers saying no, especially as they have tiered vehicles, right? Like base models, premium models, they have economy size vehicles and premium luxury vehicles. They need to deploy this across all tiers, and that may be very challenging with the interfaces that currently exist. But did you know the United States, in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021, it included a mandate that all new cars must include passive impaired driving prevention tech by 2026. But this is where I wrestle with this topic, because if we do introduce that technology, that is very big brother-ish, that is very government surveillance state-ish. And I can understand why civil rights and freedoms and those who are proponents of it would be very much opposed to the idea of government regulating your driving behavior. But then the counter to this is government already does regulate your driving behavior as we use public roads. It regulates so much of our driving behavior as it is with current local law enforcement. This would technically save lives. I guess the question would then be, how reliable is this technology? If you had a drink and you're still well below the blood alcohol content limit, would it still disengage your vehicle? Would it be over zealous with its controls? Or alternatively, how would you know if it's working or not? Like, there's so many more questions that would arise from it. But it's clear that the current regulatory system that we have on our public roads can't catch a person who's impaired driving down the highway fast enough before they do serious damage, ending the lives of either themselves or others, which is a public danger. And so this is the quagmire we're at. Like, our current laws can't do that fast enough. And so do we then rely on technology to fill that gap? And often I find myself, when we rely on technology to fill a gap, we are also giving up civil rights and freedoms in the process, because it's no longer humans determining that. It's now a machine saying, Christopher, you are not able to drive this vehicle. And so it gets me thinking, like, what are we willing to trade for safety? Would you be willing to give up civil rights and freedoms in this case, if it meant that, you couldn't drive yourself home. And I can see how many would just be very much against this idea as another piece of tech regulating my behavior inside my private vehicle that I'm driving. But again, I feel like if you're using public roads, the government does have a role to play in your safe operation of said vehicle. Or do they? I don't know. So I do believe that we give up our civil rights and freedoms in so many other arenas. When we go to the airport, we're giving up a lot of our personal liberties and rights and freedoms, I would argue. When you go through body scanners, when you go through security checks, etc., I mean, to be honest, there's something to be said there. I remember during 9/11, people were really worried about the new tech coming to surveillance and security systems across airports. And the same could be true here. Is it that we get to a point where this tech is absolutely needed despite the ramifications on our civil liberties and freedoms? And is this truly invasive, right? If you are truly drunk, you should not be driving. I think that goes without saying. So, but the question is, does this infringe on rights and liberties? There's that R word of regulation, but in this case, is it a good regulation? I'd love to know what you think. Because again, like I say before, we give up a lot of our civil liberties in other spheres. Why can't we do that here? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would be curious to know what you think about this little thought experiment that I had.